Can everyone see my PowerPoint presentation? Thumbs up. Ian, can you see my presentation?
Yeah, I think you need to put it on presentation mode.
Right, I think I'm going to have to control it. Anyway, so welcome to the first Cash Network Forum. I'm just going to let some more people in. Just be a couple more seconds, letting a few more people in. Right. Thanks everyone for joining. So today is the launch of the Cash Network meeting, Connect Against COVID, Help Everyone. Just going to start off with some house rules. So we're not really having a break. So if you need to leave anytime, just if you can make sure your camera's off and your microphone's muted. We first of all set this up and put the link up on the website so anyone could join. So if we can just do a quick sign in, if you can just put your name and your organization in the chat, that will be really appreciated so we can just get another idea of who's here. So I'm just going to put a couple more people in. So here's the agenda for today. So we're going to I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the objectives of the forum. Then Ian's going to give a funding update. Rosina's going to talk about safeguarding, and I'm going to give talk about some subjects from the Ealing Mental Health Forum. I've got so much to tell about that. So each week I'm going to be focusing on different areas within the Mental Health Forum. And then we've got our guest speaker, Hebo from LA's. And then after that, we've got a network and discussion where I'm going to put everyone in chat rooms and discuss a few topics. So I'm just going to check before we start that there's no more people waiting. So I'm just going to give an overview really of this forum. I know there's a lot of forums around at the moment, but we really wanted to set one up that was a faster pace and in terms of the amount of information covered. And at the whole time that we're doing this, I'm going to show you a link to our website. And here as we're going along, I'm adding things to this website. So anything that's referred to today, just go to ehcvs.org.uk/COVID forum resources. So each week I'm going to be adding information to about presentations. There's all the information on links to future forums. So each week, I've seen some people who have done this already. You just need to register, and then we send out a fresh link each week. So it's a good idea just to do this, get this over and done with, and then you'll be signed up for all future meetings. And we're going to keep adding more information here over the week, so you don't have to worry about more and more emails filling up your inbox, because everything will be here. You can go back to things in a few months' time, and it will all be here, this one-stop shop of all the information that we're talking about in this network. So yeah, this forum will run until July on a weekly basis, and it will always cover information to do with safeguarding, funding, mental health, addressing things like digital inclusion or lack of inclusion, all the resources and all the information you need to share with your organization to cascade down to the local community to help them really be stronger and connect against COVID. So that's the aim of the forum. We're always it will follow a similar format. It will be on the same time, 10:30 to 12:30 every Friday, similar format with the topics that are discussed, focusing on slightly different areas, maybe a presenter, guest speaker, and then followed by a discussion, an opportunity to make sure you're able to talk to people and share relevant information. So I will just click back onto the agenda for today. So, you know, a little bit behind, but Ian, would you like to give your update, your funding update?
Yeah, I think if you stop sharing, I can share my screen.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so just to introduce myself, I'm Ian Elliott, Funding Group Development Officer. I do a longer sort of funding update session every Thursday, normally about 2:30 to 3:30. So today I'll just do a shorter sort of 10-minute highlight of some of the main funds available at the moment. We just got the Food Routes Incubator Programme has been launched by the Mayor of London. So grants of between £10,000 and £15,000 to new and existing cross-sector food partnerships. Deadline for applications for this is 12 p.m. on 18th of February. I'll circulate the slides to attendees afterwards. There's links on the slides to websites where you can get more information about each fund mentioned. Something called Near Neighbours have a community COVID relief grants up to £4,000 available to local projects supporting communities affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, go to the website link for more information. Trust for London, the next deadline is 2nd of February. We had a presentation from the local grants manager this week, so I can send those slides around to people as well. The main strand, so the large fund like Trust for London, make sure you apply to the correct strand. There's also a recording of the meeting, so I can circulate that as well. And the main one for small groups is called Connected Communities. Again, there's a link to the website for more information. And you can get in touch with the local grant officer, Rebecca, if you want to discuss your idea. Youth COVID-19 Support Fund. So £16.5 million is open to grassroots youth clubs, uniformed youth groups, and national youth and umbrella organisations to help mitigate the impact of lost income during the winter period because of coronavirus. Deadline for this is 5 p.m. on the 12th of February. London Community Response Fund renewal grants are still open until the 15th of February. And you can apply for core grants as well as project grants based on priorities around building strong communities, New Deal for young people, and offering a robust safety net. Again, there's a link to the website. You can get a bit more information. And like so with any of these, your applications, draft applications, you can get feedback from us. So if you email us your draft applications, we'll give you feedback to improve it. Something called the Windrush Day Grant Scheme. So Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government is inviting community groups to apply for grants to celebrate Windrush Day on the 22nd of June. And you can apply for between £2,500 and £25,000. They've got some information workshops coming up on 2nd of February and then 11th of February. Deadline is 10th of March. There's also another Windrush related fund to promote some Windrush schemes, which the government is promoting. Firstly, the Windrush documentation scheme to allow or to promote the opportunity for people from Commonwealth countries who moved here before 1973 to get their documentation in order to be here legally, or secure their status legally rather. There's also something called the Windrush Compensation Scheme, where funding is available for those of that generation who've been affected by the problems caused. And again, you can apply for between £2,500 and £25,000 for activities to promote the funds and programs. Deadline is 12th of February. Paul Hamlin Foundation and Comic Relief have got a fund called Tech for Good Digital Development. You can apply for up to £70,000 to use technology to explore different approaches to delivering better services during the COVID-19 crisis. Closing date for this fund is 12th of February. The Volant Trust has a COVID-19 response fund. Closing date 31st of July. Homeless charities working with homeless people can apply for up to £5,000. Closing date 15th of March. Comic Relief has a capacity building grant scheme. So charities, community organisations, CICs can apply for grants up to £1,000 if they've been impacted by COVID to help them rebuild their capacity. Organisations must have an annual income of below £250,000 and you can apply at any time.
Yeah.
Sport England has some crowdfunding options. So for one, to activate and enhance community spaces, another up to £10,000 to get your community physically active. They also have another fund available.
I'm going to have to go back because I'm in the middle of the Bain network at the moment and it's presenting and I've got to control it. So I'll talk to you later, is that all right?
Slides.
Yeah.
Something called the Community Partnership One-Stop Shop. Contact your one-stop shop for more information. And again, there's a link on the slides. Something called the Thomas Wall Trust. There's grants up to £5,000 to registered charities to assist with specific projects and activities that support literacy, numeracy, digital and additional skills for people aged 11 or older. Deadline is the 30th of April. There's also quite a lot of small trusts out there. One of them is the Alec Dixon Trust. They will support grants for young people up to age 30. You've got things like the Headley Foundation, again, the website, more information. Obviously, National Lottery funding is still available, still focused on funding for organisations supporting people and communities who are experiencing disproportionate challenge and difficulty as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. You can apply for 6 months funding, emergency funding between £300,000 and £100,000. They also have a match funding for youth social action opportunities available. And they're also offering loneliness funding for community groups. The first round is just finished, but there will be another round in the summer for small groups with an annual income of £50,000 or less. Isleworth and Hounslow Charity for groups working in Hounslow, up to £3,000 for organisations in the borough for working to relief in need and relief of sickness. Another small fund called Idlewild Trust, AB Charitable Trust. I'm just going to get to this. Oh, yeah. Freshwater Foundation. So they're a small fund to fund groups both in Ealing and Hounslow. Small grants. Yap Charitable Trust for work with young people. Field Family Charitable Trust. So also, I say I send these slides around. You can have a look. Inspire Hounslow, so they will fund Hounslow only projects for Hounslow residents up to £1,000. It's for any project above £1,000. It must be for projects benefiting disadvantaged young people up to the age of about 25. You can apply via their website, inspirehounslow.co.uk. Another one, Catalyst Housing Emergency Fund. So I think I've covered quite a lot of the main ones. Like I say, I'll circulate the slides just to let people know we've got a workshop with the National Lottery coming up on the 10th of February, and we'll also have the local funding officers for Ealing and Hounslow. In the meantime, yeah, if you need any more particular support, then get in touch with myself or Rosina, who covers Ealing groups.
Thanks, Ian. Just to remind it, and you don't actually have to circulate everything because I'm just going to put all these presentations in the resources
Oh, okay.
link of the website. Because if we just get everyone regularly going to that place on the website, then it won't clog up people's inboxes. And I just think it's great that then people can go back to this information at a later stage or any other information. So yeah, everything we talk about in any of these meetings, it's all going to go in the resources area. Ian, are you able to take any quick questions? We can't really go into too many, but if anyone has a burning question about this, would anyone like to ask Ian a very quick question? Can't see any hands up. No. Okay, so like I said, the information will be out on the webpage. Yeah, go for it, Margaret.
I was speaking, but it was on mute. Heritage Lottery. We're interested in we're working on a project with a group in Scotland. So will you be having anything to do with Heritage Lottery funding?
Yeah, I mean, that's another funder that's open. I'm not quite sure how they've altered their priorities with the COVID-19 situation. How is it? You said you're working with the group in Scotland?
Yeah, we worked with them before. It's a project about a house in Scotland called Paxton House, and they actually had slaves in Grenada. So we're started to work with them again, and they're going to offer us a space in their house to put up an exhibition.
So where is the project taking place?
It'll be here, hopefully here in London, in Scotland, and in Grenada.
Yeah, I mean, because National Lottery tends to be quite focused on local communities. So you are complicating it by having it in different places. I'm not quite sure the situation.
I think Art Council, they fund, if your main activity is happening in England and some activity outside, they fund certain projects, but we can look into it, I guess. I think they have their last date for one of their grants was yesterday.
Yeah, we can arrange to have a meeting with you. So you just get in touch with us and someone will get in touch to have a one-to-one meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, lovely. Right, okay, we're going to move on to Rosina and the safeguarding. I've just had a couple of messages in the chat and I just wanted to confirm that this forum is primarily for BAME communities, but we don't want to prevent any other vulnerable groups joining as well. So that's why we have called it CASH, Connect Against COVID, Help Everyone. But we have received funding to run this network every Friday, same time, same place. And it's primarily for BAME groups to support the vulnerable BAME communities during COVID. But like I say, anyone is welcome to join this. It's by no means purely just for BAME groups. Anyone who wants to connect to other people, who needs a little bit of extra help and support during these times, is always very welcome to join this forum. I just wanted to clarify that point. Okay, so now Rosina's going to give an update on safeguarding.
Hi everyone, I'm Rosina Vanderwall. So I'm going to go through what I do in terms of safeguarding. So do you feel confident that your child and adult safeguarding arrangements are up to scratch within your organization? Have you been managing complex work with families and would like to talk through in a reflective and supporting space? So you can get in touch with me. So what I can do for you is we can do one-to-one, we can have a meeting, one-to-one meetings with you to discuss. I have something called a safeguarding health check for your organization and look at what you, in terms of safeguarding policy, what you need, and then help you set that up as well. So basically what I will do is review your safeguarding structure, policy plans, and any dilemmas, and also reflective case discussion we can have as well. If you have any specific questions, especially now during COVID as well. And also if you have any issues or any questions about your staff or volunteers in terms of safeguarding work. And also what I can do for you is you can book safeguarding training for your staff and your volunteers as well. I run every quarter, I run safeguarding sessions in Hounslow and in Ealing. So you can come to that, or you can contact me and we can set up a separate one for your organization specifically. Also, you can come to my quarterly safeguarding forums, and next one is on 4th of Feb. Also, I have started a series on online safety for parents, training for parents. So you can ask your service users to join in those workshops as well. So this is what you can access in terms of support from Ealing and Hounslow CVS. Also, what we do is we have a e-news comes out, which provides updates on and resources on coronavirus. So any new updates that the government and public health guidelines they put up, we will have those in these newsletters. And we know that different organizations had to change their work and the way they work as well because of COVID. So any support you need, you can contact me in terms of that as well. And also we can help you understand ongoing changes in terms of coronavirus, and everything will be in our newsletters as well. What else? I've just put a little bit of information about if you have any concerns or you have been a victim of abuse, or you suspect that someone is being abused, then there's some important contacts that you can directly go to. So social care advice and referral center, their phone number is there, and their email, and also the duty emergency team, their link in here. But if you have any immediate concerns, you can contact, obviously, 999 is the first point of call in regards to safeguarding. I've also included a small presentation here for basically Ealing Council. They have done a study. So since the COVID hit and the lockdowns, a few lockdowns have happened. So in terms of supporting vulnerable children and families during COVID-19, so I'm just going to go through with that very quickly. So basically what they have done is they've looked at, so this is to do with serious safeguarding incidents. So they've looked at these 4 areas. So first one, in increasing parent and family stressors, exacerbated vulnerabilities for children and young people, impact on school closures, and adaptations for COVID safe practices. So first one, basically, there was an increase in parent and family stresses because the kids have been obviously at home. And as a result of disrupted routines and behaviors, overcrowding, obviously, Ealing is very, loads of families, they live in overcrowded houses. And so that was also part of it. Isolation from family support networks and financial pressures and tensions in family relationships resulted in an escalation in domestic violence. So that is one of the things that have come out of this study. Also, what else? So actually I had a separate, never mind, that's okay. Okay, so in terms of exacerbated vulnerability for children and young people, so an extended period out of school, away from friends and trusted adult outside the home, basically they exacerbated children and young people's vulnerability during COVID-19 outbreak. And there were concerns about children below the radar, so who may have become vulnerable during lockdown. And currently they are not known to the services. So on families, so in terms of, because of school closures, so government guidance in March 2020 set out a framework for supporting vulnerable children and young people with an expectation that they would continue to attend school. But obviously that was not the case. In practice, for a variety of reasons, schools attendance by vulnerable peoples was very low because obviously parents, they were concerned that their children might get COVID, so they kept them home. And there were significant variations in extent to which schools were in contact with and supporting vulnerable children and families. So while some schools were very supportive, others, they, were different. So impact of adaptations for COVID safe practice. Authorities put in innovative arrangements for virtual home visits, supervisions, and team meetings. But face-to-face home visiting continued in priority cases. But research and evidence has highlighted that opportunities for different and more effective engagement with vulnerable children and families as a result of these adaptive changes didn't happen. In some cases, didn't happen. And they were unable to basically see certain things. So here is the summary of some of what they have looked at in terms of practitioner working. There were good examples of safeguarding partnerships, taking the learning from rapid reviews to make immediate changes in COVID-19. So local authorities working with Safeguarding Children Partnership established clear frameworks for risk assessment, identifying and sharing information about vulnerable children. And also practitioners were also enabled to engage remotely with families and in working with one another. In terms of practitioner working, in terms of parental and family stressors, there were major factors across the full range of cases involving COVID-19. So there was increase in domestic violence and mental health concerns were key features across this review. And the lack of contact with extended family members during lockdown meant the loss of key protective factors in some cases. In other, family dynamics change as well, where a new partner joined the household to avoid lockdown contact restrictions. Rapid also reviews highlighted the pressures and tensions as a result of disrupted routines and overcrowding as well. Harm to babies and under 12-year olds. So babies under 12 months.
No, don't let that cat in. I won't listen to him.
Continue to be most prevalent group notified. And
it's raining. Well, don't let it in, Seychelles.
Sorry, we can hear you. Can we, Valerie?
Yeah, can someone who's talking about the cat please put their microphone on mute?
Seychelles, see? You bring the wet cat, Seychelles. Make me stay the house, please.
So many cases basically involving non-accidental injury and sudden unexpected infant deaths. So in these cases, parental and family stressors were most significant factors in escalating risk. In some of the cases, face-to-face visits had been replaced with telephone and video contact. It is important that families with newborn during lockdown have at least one face-to-face visit from a midwife and health visitor. Basically, that came out of it. And in terms of young people's mental health, being away from support of friends, trusted adults, and school appeared to have a particular impact on children and young people's mental health was evident in all cases of suicide, basically. Reviews highlighted incidents of self-harm, exposure to sexual abuse, and online bullying. And summary of findings in terms of school closures. So the rapid review provided mixed evidence of the impact of local authorities and schools in identifying and supporting vulnerable children. So there were some good examples where school had maintained contact, promoted study, support and other activities, and adopted their approach in line with involving national guidance and expectations. However, many vulnerable children who were entitled to attend school were kept at home by parents, fearing risk of COVID-19 infection. And this meant that children lost structure and routine, where parents' capacity to provide homeschooling was limited. In terms of, again, school closures, additionally, children at home full-time was an added pressure for parents, particularly for carers with disabled children. School was not available as a source of support or as a trusted environment for children to disclose concerns. As a result, some vulnerable children remain below the radar. In any future lockdowns, basically, so it's essential that schools remain open and all children with clear messaging for parents about COVID safe learning environments and expectations of normal attendance. Basically, they should. So that is one of the things they want to happen. Summary of findings for adaptations and COVID safe practice. So they were basically adopting practice was an important factor across the full range of cases involving COVID-19. And so in related to basically where face-to-face home visits or booked appointments were replaced by telephone contacts or virtual visits. Our service closures, deferred appointments, delays in decision-making were also evident. On occasions, visits were delayed or cancelled, owing to a lack of personal protective equipment, so PPE. And again, in terms of that, there were highlighted examples of effective use of virtual home visits by video links, where these worked well, so practitioners were able to observe children and adult-child interaction, assess the home environment, and use focus questions to assess changing risk of need as well in terms of that. I'm actually finished. So going forward, there's few, so practitioners would benefit from, so that's what they have basically come out with, what should happen. So they will benefit from development of practice guidance and best practice standards for virtual visits. Basically, there is none. There should be one. Also, local authorities and partner agencies move to a more blended approach to contact with children and families, basically. And then at the end, I've given my details here. So if you have any questions, if you would.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Anyone got any questions for Rosina? Okay, we've got some raised hands. Right, we've got a raised hand. I think, yeah, Richard, would you like to ask your question? Thanks.
Yes, Rosina, can you just repeat what the study was that you're quoting there? Perhaps put the links into the chat, because I think some of us would like to look at the study and what geographic footprint was that study over?
Okay, sure. I can. It was for Ealing, so I can.
So that was an Ealing specific study.
Yes.
Okay. And any feel for how those findings translate to other parts of London? To, well, obviously Hounslow and has there been any work done across wider geography than just Ealing?
Yes, there has been work done actually. and similar, to be honest. Similar stuff came out of, but
Yeah, I think
not
the piece
100%.
the piece that resonates particularly strongly for me is the loss of trusted social, trusted adult connections or trusted peer connections through lockdown. And so that people's interactions are increasingly sort of online, and they feel more vulnerable to anything from conspiracy theories through to scams, and simply because they don't have the same opportunity for sounding out the trusted friend or the trusted person at the shops or wherever they would normally be interacting. So I think that's
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That is the case for many young people. Yeah. Yes. So, and we will send.
And also vulnerable adults.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, I'm going to move forward to the next item now. I'm going to talk about mental health. So first of all, I'm going to let everyone know that I also run the Ealing Mental Health Forum that meets once a month. It's on Fridays between 12 and 1:30. It's mainly mental health related organizations, but of course, if anyone from on this meeting would like to attend too, they're very welcome. Just need to send me an email and I can send them a link. So many things to talk about in mental health. So what I'm going to do is each week bring things over from that forum and share them into these, try and do it in bite-sized pieces of information rather than bombard people. So I'm going to show you straight away that I'm going to share my screen and show you that on the Cash Network website here. Today I'm going to be talking about some counselling services. Again, it's very difficult to summarize what's out there in just this section, but each week I will be talking about different things. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about Yardo. Yardo is is a new service, but it's very good because, well, I'm going to show you the flyer, because it's thought so much about, oh, that's their website, but I'm just going to show you the flyer, about how people in these times connect. Can everyone see my screen okay? Thumbs up if everyone can see my screen. No?
No, we can't
Okay,
see it.
let's,
Just share
right,
it.
okay, let's start again. Yep. So this is Yardo, and not only do they give access to counselling courses, very good counselling courses as well, but the fees are pay what you want, which is amazing, or even if someone can't afford a thing, it's not a barrier. So it's and the lady who runs this, Paula, she's so passionate and knows that she wants this service to be available to everyone regardless of their income. And so if there's someone who can't afford it at all, then she will make sure they get access to this support for free. And she'll make sure that they get a free laptop to use for the counselling, and most importantly, the Wi-Fi, because that is such a huge problem at the moment with data that gets eaten up so quickly on things like this. If people aren't on unlimited Wi-Fi, they can't connect to the sort of counselling support that they need. So this is a flyer just about the different courses that are available. There's also following on from touching on about the SEN safeguarding, there's SEN parenting support group, mindfulness, and an 8-week mindfulness and self-compassion course. And these people are so skilled in this area, and I've heard so much good feedback. So yeah, this is an amazing organization. So it's exactly the sort of organization I wanted to promote in this forum, because they've really thought about how they're going to connect and support people perhaps in BAME backgrounds who are vulnerable, and then they don't have IT equipment, or they don't have broadband, and they don't have ability to pay. Well, that is not a barrier, because Yardo will help them. And that's really what this forum is about, connecting you and your organizations to another organization like this to get support to people who need it. So yeah, this is all on, remember, the website. You can go here and look. There's a link to the Yardo website. You can read more. I also wanted to quickly touch on IAPS. I'm not sure if everyone here knows about IAPS. They offer a whole range of different support. And it's such an interesting mental health support, because it's not just talking therapies. They offer a whole range of services. There can be group sessions online. There's things like if people are suffering post-traumatic stress disorder, they are really cutting edge, this organization. They even do techniques like, because when we're asleep, a lot of things are processed to do with trauma. And so they can recreate the rapid eye movements by following people's fingers to help process trauma. So really interesting techniques, and you can self-refer, and they, you know, amazing organization, because they are really upscaled, and they're upscaling even more. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, there'll be a huge waiting list. No, there isn't. I've heard they get back to people really quickly. They will find the right sort of support for people. I'm just going to play a very quick video of IAP so people can find out a bit more. Oh, hang on,
It is good and we feel great. Sometimes it is not so great and we need support to help us cope better.
Can everyone hear that okay?
We are a free and confidential NHS service designed to help you feel better and more able to manage life. We offer a variety of treatments that have been proven to work, including free workshops or groups, tailored online treatments, and one-to-one talking therapies for adults registered with an Ealing GP.
I found the group really valuable, and it's a service that the NHS can be really proud of. The support given to each and every member of the group was brilliant and totally discreet. I am sure that it was the catalyst for the change for the better for most of the members of the group attending, and I couldn't recommend it more highly.
Oh, I found the online therapy really good. It was quite easy to use actually, and I actually look forward to completing the modules every week at a time that fitted in with me. Even though I never actually met my therapist, I found her a great support.
Ealing IAPT makes asking for and receiving support really easy. Contact us on 020 3313 5660 or visit our website to refer yourself and for more information on what we offer.
So yeah, I really would encourage anyone, anyone who your organization connects to, who wants any sort of support, please do get in touch with IAPT. They're an amazing organization, and like I said, all the details are on the cash page. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about today is Loneliness Project by Mind. Again, like IAPT, you can self-refer. All these things here, I'm signposting people to, because people can then get support quickly by self-referring. All you need to do is share the links here, and there's necessary forms, because we don't want to direct people to something that's going to take forever to help them. So Limit Loneliness is by Hammersmith Fulham, Ealing and Hounslow Mind. And it's a service for, because loneliness is such, so prevalent at the moment, and is just impacting on so many people. So all you need for this service is to be over 18, and they offer a whole range of services. They can find out exactly your needs. Could you join group sessions? There's one-to-one support. But the main thing is that they are taking on new referrals, and here's the referral form. People can self-refer. So again, please share this with any of your service users. There is also at this project, there is provision to support people in different community languages as well. So it's great. So please do get in touch. So that is really my update for today. But like I say, each week I will keep telling people about mental health services. Someone says, do IAPS do in different languages? Yes, they do. They're amazing. Most community languages, there is provision for support. So they are incredible at IAPS. Right, so now a little bit later than scheduled, we have got Hebo from LA's, who is going to talk about their organization's experience of COVID-19 and how it's impacted. And after that, we're going to have some networking time. But yeah, over to Hebo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hebo from LA's. And LA's is a small charity based in Hounslow. It has been working in the London Borough of Hounslow for the last 16 years. And it works mainly with the BME refugees and asylum seekers. And before the pandemic, we used to do a lot of face-to-face services and activities, such as sewing classes, ESOL, IT classes, social club, employment and support program, drop-in center, advice, information, and guidance on welfare benefits, housing, employment, education, and training. Some of these services are replaced by more compelling emergency response tasks, such as distribution of food and essentials, warm winter packs, and digital devices. In addition, services that are offered also include welfare phone calls to vulnerable residents, so that at least 30 people that are some of the most vulnerable residents in Hounslow are called by our volunteers just to check if they are okay and if they need any help or any support. They also do, counseling and other services that are important to them. We adopted digital strategy where some of the services have moved online and over the phone, because the community that we work with, they mostly not so digital literate. They use WhatsApp and over the phone to contact us. So what we did is we contact when they need help with a third party company, like a utility company or maybe a hospital or other statutory agencies. We set up a three-way call whereby we connect them with the third party so that the issues are sorted by the staff and volunteers. The other thing that helped us, a lot of young volunteers that were off from university and colleges came forward to help and support us during the pandemic, so that the services are delivered during the pandemic. And the things that they helped us with included, phone calls, food distribution, offering warm winter package to residents. And they have done fantastic work. They have made over 2,000 calls. They have dealt with over 2,000 calls from residents that needed maybe help with their gas or with electricity, and they were offered vouchers so that at least those that have prepayment meters are able to top up the electric and gas. Some were having housing issues, others, they were going back to universal credit because they have lost their jobs. So staff and volunteers were able to support them apply for universal credit. And they have done a fantastic job over the pandemic. And some of those young volunteers are still with us. And we have seen a huge increase in demand for our services. we also deliver a digital inclusion project, whereby, a charity has been able to donate us devices, and we donated these devices to service users so that, and they are trained also. They had, initial training so that at least they are able to use those devices. And that charity it's called a Good Things Foundation. And volunteers and staff have been able to offer them training so that at least they are able to do the basic functions. They had the initial training, about 16 people have initial training, but because of this second lockdown, they haven't been able to get further trainings. So we have been able to empower, some of the local residents to be able to use the digital technology. And we have, social club. We have moved it because there used to be a social club here at the community center. That has not been possible. So what we have done is that's done now through WhatsApp. So we have a WhatsApp group whereby, community are feeling lonely and isolated are linked together. And sometimes we call a professional who speaks the same language as them. So if they need help with COVID awareness, because most of the community that we work with are unaware about how dangerous coronavirus is. So we call NHS doctors that they speak the same language as them. So through that WhatsApp, they can offer, they can raise awareness about coronavirus. Also, we set up another WhatsApp group whereby, community members, if they have issues with health problems and they are maybe very afraid to hospital, because there are so many fake news that is circulating in WhatsApp and among the community, so that, they are updated about the news that's going on, and to counter with any fake news that's on at the moment, especially with telling community not to access hospitals, because if you go there, you may never come back alive. So we have a lot of, messages. We're delivering messages that are empowering community and giving them the right information. So to some extent, we have been able to move some of our services online and over the phone, but still, a lot of them are on hold until the lockdown is finishing. And one thing we are seeing that the community is facing is huge unemployment and also mental health issues. So I think that's.
Okay, thanks, Hebo. Anyone got any questions for Hebo? Any hands up? Or
yeah, Barbara, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi, Hebo. I'm very interested about this WhatsApp group thing. I've heard from our own volunteers about WhatsApp. How does this work? So while preserving anonymity, I mean, basically, if you have a WhatsApp group, how do you ensure people don't know each other's personal details? Maybe there isn't such an issue, obviously. I know when I publicize stuff via Twitter and Facebook, I don't think our clients are necessarily picking it up. I think WhatsApp sounds like a good method.
I think WhatsApp worked for us a lot, because the first time when the first lockdown, community, they lost in touch with each other. They were like close-knit community, and people that were going through pre-existing mental health or physical problems, they used to come here. And also some that never used to come here, wanted to get in touch with us. And the only way that we thought we could bring them together is through WhatsApp. So an individual person we contact one by one. We asked this, do you mind joining this WhatsApp group? And we told them about the benefits, what they will get out of it and how it will benefit them. We asked, do you mind if you put your number there and your name? Even it doesn't have to be your name, but your number, do you want it to be included? So everyone, before we put their numbers together, they gave us formal consent, verbal consent. And it really worked us very well, because even women are able to post messages if they have issues, if they have worries, they post the messages, maybe voice message, And that's picked up by our staff volunteers, or even, as I said, NHS doctors that have better knowledge than every one of us when it comes to health issues. So they feel like they're supported, they don't feel lonely. Even, I mean, the woman that used to come here, even one sadly passed away last night, another one passed away last week. So even when they're going through difficult issues, I mean, information is posted there, even counseling, voices are recorded, and then they listen to it. So it became the main means of communication for them. And us, we also monitor as well. So if there are any fake news, we try and make sure that information is corrected. So it really worked for them, and it's like they're still link it together. So even if they want to like talk to us or to talk to one of the professionals through FaceTime, that's facilitated. So it really worked for us.
Yeah, I can see that, and I've heard about this from other people. I think that's fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Hebo?
Yeah, are you getting lots of people who are not refusing to take the vaccine?
We really see a lot of people, mainly the elderly, even young people. They're very afraid of taking the vaccination because, I mean, they read, or maybe they heard so many negative stories, and they are not like willing to take up the vaccination. But one of our staff who worked for us here, he became a champion and he had the vaccination. So he's telling them like, it's okay to take vaccination. I have taken it, nothing's wrong with it. And also us as community workers, we are trying to say if we have the opportunity, and we are calling, we're willing to take it. There are so many vulnerable people or even elderly people that we offer the opportunity to have the vaccination. But I mean, sadly, I mean, they are not willing to take it. So we are really trying to educate them and tell them it's okay. It will, I mean, it will keep you safe. Take it, but they have still got a long way to go. So we are working hard on it to convince them that it's for their own good.
Hi. Can I just ask a question?
Francisco.
First of all, I would like to congratulate you on the job you are doing, because I do have a group as well in Oslo, and it takes a lot of determination to pursue what you're pursuing and to actually have the fruits that you are accomplishing right now. But I have a few questions that will be like, for me, will be practicality things that you already passed through it, and I would like you to ask if you could share more or less, or flagship me on how you growing or developing on these steps. You spoke about unemployment and mental health within this COVID episode that we all facing. And I think previous you were telling on another meeting that you had a contact on warehouses or something like that. I would like to follow up on that and try to find out exactly how you outsourcing or supporting the community in terms of these two issues.
Yeah, thank you very much. With the issue of employment, we have at least 3 paid staff supported by at least 6 or 7 volunteers. So one, like, for example, someone needs help with, they find a job and they do not know how to put a CV together. They will pick up the phone, because we also make sure we publicize our mobile numbers, so that even if it's even Saturday or Sunday, we make sure we are accessible to the community, because this is the time when they need us most. So they will call us either through our mobile numbers or office number, and then we book an appointment through FaceTime or WhatsApp. So we say when you are at home, we are able to build up your CV. You just tell us what you have done in the past. We are able to do that. I have my colleague Leila, who is a highly experienced employment officer, and she will go through the process, make sure she writes the CV, and then emails it to the person. She will also go through the available jobs locally, have a list in her file, Leila and Amal, and then anybody who wants a job, they will say, oh, this job is available, maybe it suits you, do you want to go for it? And then they will put, because they already make the CV for that person, then the person will send the CV. And then if they find the job, we always do a follow-up and say, if you find the job, please let us know, so that at least we know that you are off our list and that you find a job. But if you have not been successful with that job, let us know. We can still keep supporting you until you secure a job. So that's how we keep up with the issue of employment.
And can I just ask, are you doing these on video conferences? Are you doing these over the phone, or are you actually engaging with the resident on their basic needs? Because what I'm facing with is the fact that some of them, even though have difficulty on getting onto the conference call, or to try to do, or to have a template of a CV in their hands, because of the distance of our us being separated. So I'm really tempted to go and visit them and maybe help them out on the parts that they need, because with this social distance, I'm finding it very difficult to actually progress or grow on that support. So my question to you is, are they coming to you, or are you doing this over the phone?
No. Usually people that are looking for employment are people who are, have some literacy of technology, like people who are at least able to send us an email. So if they have an access to the email, we say, please make sure you email it to us if you have a draft. If they do not have a draft, we make sure we start from scratch. And when we start from scratch, we email it to them. And with the issue of, food, we have been able to put a lot of food, dry ration in our community center. So if like family call us and they say we're running out of food, we make sure we prepare a small bag together and put it and tell them, when are you coming? And then put it, at a social distance, leave it somewhere. But also what we have been able to do is link up with all the local food banks. So each person who wants the food, even they will call us, that's done through the phone call, they will call us, say, please, we need some food, we're run out of essentials. So we call the food bank, say we are going to refer that person, they live in that postcode, can we refer to your food bank? Is it possible? When they say yes, we fill up the form, we take all the personal details from the person, not the date of birth, but the name, how many people are living in the household, and we fill the form and email it. And then the food bank will send us an email and say the food is ready. Can you tell the person to come and collect it at that time? And that's how that's done also.
Thank you. Thank you very much for feedback.
And so the last one thing with the mental health, as I said, we have NHS doctors that speak the same language. We also have, and also English, because we don't only deal with one community, we deal with other small minority communities. So we have NHS doctors that, like, if someone is really going through a crisis, we book an appointment, informal appointment, and then they can help and offer them the right advice. We have also like community champions that have attended our mental health training previously. So those are also online, and when someone needs some issue or help, or even when we're organizing a workshop, they are supported by a group of people that are experts.
Okay, thanks, Hebo. Thanks. Okay, now we're just going to move on to the networking and information sharing. So I'm just going to check the lineup. So we are going to, let's find it. Move on, we've done networking and discussion. So I'm going to put everyone into groups. There is 18 of us. I'm going to do 3 groups of 6 people. I'm going to put, I'll be in one group. I'll put Ian in one, Rosina in another. So the time now is 11:45. Let's have 15-minute chat. I'm going to give different groups different subjects. Next week, as Barbara suggested, I think we can talk about, let's talk about, the fake news and getting message about the COVID vaccine into different community groups. I think that's a really good idea, and we can do something similar like this next week. But I've got my topics for these today, where it's about accessing information. So group 1, the subject is access. This is going to be my group. Access to information for those who are digitally excluded due to lack of laptops, iPads, and limited broadband. They have the know-how, but not the IT equipment and broadband. So my group's going to be discussing that with me, seeing if anyone's got any ideas. And we're going to report back to the group on that. Ian is going to be number 2, and he's going to be talking about access to information and how to get online. So this group are people who've got no IT knowledge and no IT equipment, not even a smartphone. So, you know, how do they get to information if they don't even have the IT knowledge and not even a smartphone? Absolutely excluded from everything. That sort of group of people. And then Rosina's group, number 3, are going to be talking about loneliness and isolation. How can people connect at this point in time if they don't have IT equipment or don't know how to use the equipment they have? So you could discuss, you know, group telephone calls, things like that. What other ways can you help people who are so lonely and isolated and just don't have the IT equipment? I mean, it's a nightmare, isn't it, for those people who are desperate to connect to others, but if they don't have the IT equipment, how can you do it? So those are the 3 different subjects. So as if by magic, everyone keep their fingers crossed. I'm going to try and put you in groups. You can chat for 15 minutes and then we'll report back.
Toby, sorry, can I ask you, who is discussing the 4th item?
No one, because that was the 4th subject if there was a huge group. There's just 3 subjects because there's 3 groups. Okay.
I'm just writing this down, my point.
Ian, you got your discussion point all right?
Can you just go back 1 minute?
Ian, you're discussing access to information, how to get online, no IT knowledge and no IT equipment, not even a smartphone. Okay, I'm going to fiddle with some buttons now, so I'm going to have to...
I'm done, yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I think there was someone else trying to get in to the meeting.
Right, well, I can't let them in right now because I'm trying to do the break room, so I'll get in a minute. Right, okay. Right, can you hear me in my room? Shelley, can you hear me? Margaret, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm getting you, Margaret.
Lovely. Rosina, are you in my room? Rosina?
Yes, yes.
Right, thanks. Shelley. Right, Rosina, I'm going to put you in a different room because
Okay.
right, I'm going to move.
Will I join Toby's and inviting you to join room 2? Toby, will I join room 2?
Yes, yes. Right, who's in my room? So I've got Shelley and Margaret.
Yes, I'm there.
Lovely, it worked. Right, there's someone else trying to get in. So let's see if she can come into my room.
Oh.
Sarah.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very
Lovely
much,
to see
Toby.
you.
Yes.
You've just joined our break room, our
Oh,
breakout room.
I was going to
You're
say, I
just in
thought it was
time
4.
for a break.
Lovely, lovely. Okay, thanks for
Have you
letting
just
me.
joined just now? Because I saw you floating around, so I pulled you into my room.
No, thanks for that. No, I was teaching a group until about 10 minutes
Oh,
ago.
right.
So I just,
Okay, well, welcome. And yeah, we're just having a chat now about, we're in 3 different rooms, and we are having a chat about access to information for people who are digitally excluded due to lack of laptops, iPads, and limited broadband.
Okay.
So this group, they have the know-how, but not the IT equipment and broadband. So we're just going to have a discussion on this for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to report back to the group. So really, we're trying to share any insight we have or any thoughts on this. We might have some big ideas, or we might know some key groups who can help with this subject, and then we're going to report back to the group and share that. So I'm going to start by saying that I know that there is an organization who will give free IT equipment, so we can definitely get over that hurdle. I'm not sure how they're doing in terms of the amount of people wanting this at the moment and how quickly they can provide that equipment. But I was talking earlier as well about the biggest problem is it's one thing giving people equipment, but it is having the Wi-Fi and unlimited broadband, because a call like this eats up data so quickly that if you're not on unlimited broadband, you're instantly prevented from accessing support, talking to people, because it just eats up so much broadband. So has anyone got any thoughts on how we can overcome, or does anyone know organizations that are perhaps boosting Wi-Fi quota? I know that government is working with providers for school children at home. I saw on the Gov website that boosting Wi-Fi allocations and broadband, but I haven't read anything about doing the same for people on very low incomes. Anyone got any thoughts or insight on that?
I haven't heard of anything generally addressing this at all, if you haven't got kids at school. And the libraries aren't open at the moment as well. So, but often, even when the libraries are open, I've heard quite a lot of sort of statutory body people saying, oh, well, they can go to the library, but it's completely unrealistic, completely unrealistic. I have to say, I think the answer is that there has to be, suitable, equitable access through non-digital sources. So you could probably improve the situation for a proportion of people, but you're never going to reach everyone anywhere near. So that's my.
Do you think corporates should be playing more a part in this? For example, Sky, who offer Wi-Fi, should groups be knocking on their doors asking to provide free internet access?
I think it's always worth a try. It's a question of how much time and how quickly they might act, and they'd probably be looking at national deals, not local deals. And WhatsApp video, WhatsApp is the answer. We're using WhatsApp more and more. It's relatively cheap, it's encrypted and that sort of thing, and people use it a lot for talking to friends and family all around the world. So the advice we've had with any kind of contact and connection we're doing is if you're trying to reach people, it's WhatsApp, but you can only do that if they're in the group or if you've got their phone number already. So it's a what do they call it? It's a push message. You've got to know the person and send the contact and make it there. But for those that have got phones, WhatsApp does seem to be one of the best options. That's what we've found anyway.
Seems to use less data, does it? Eats up less data.
It's free. I don't know about the data, but it is free. And unless, again, and if we're assuming, if we look at the people who are most likely to have, so we look at people who are using top-up data. If you think of them as your start point, then they can use WhatsApp because it's basically free. But I honestly don't know about the data side of it, Toby, but even any text, you usually have to pay, and it eats into your top-up allowance, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's getting quite techy, isn't it, to know what platforms use up most data. I'm thinking maybe Zooms do because there's the more
Zoom gobbles
functionality. Yeah, because there's more functionality. So yeah, that's a really good point thinking about, because I keep on thinking about WhatsApp as a messaging system, but to know that you can do group WhatsApp video calls.
You can do group up to 8 people, including yourself. So we've been using it, well, not me so much directly, but other people in our volunteers group have been using it to do English groups and conversation groups and English assessments and that sort of thing. In fact, when we've had any feedback from people, they're saying, please use WhatsApp. But they're not all on it, and they've got to know it's you. Otherwise, you put them into a group, and they'll leave before, because there's also a lot of scamming going on. So people, unless they know you're going to join them in, you can join them in a group, and before you've had time to send them a message telling them what it's about, they've left it. But the essential thing is, if you have got a phone number and you're creating a group, is to make sure you've got a message ready to go. So the second you join someone, you send them the message straight away, and they know what it's about and who you are and stuff. It does show your phone number. So there's also that question about your own privacy and using personal phones, because they have your phone number after that.
All right.
So we got a new phone at work that we just use for the WhatsApp group. But even if you're a member of the group, other people can see your phone number. There's probably some clever way of stopping that happening, but I don't know what it is.
That sounds great. When we feedback, we can, if you don't mind telling everyone about that. And also, I was thinking, I saw your email about your Zoom coming up to do with people living in hotels. You've got something next week. Do you want, when we go back, do you want to remind everyone about that and connect?
Yes, please.
If you want to drop something in the chat when we go back, and
yeah, okay.
When we feedback, and then I'll say, oh, and Sarah wants to just mention something else while she's here.
That would be great, Toby.
Always good once you've got people in front of you, it's just great to remind them. So, yeah. Okay, Margaret, how have you got on in terms of communicating to your service users with what platform do you use?
As I've heard others saying, yes, we have a WhatsApp group that we exchange information and encourage others to participate in activities. We have also organized Zoom meetings. Those Zoom meetings are just once a month, and we're thinking that in this year, we should be able to do it at least twice a month. It's not very easy because some of our beneficiaries, they don't have smartphones. So if you're going to do something like a delivery, you have to call them. You have to call them on their phones. You know, when we look at the situation at hand now, it's not very easy at all. It's not very easy. you have some of our elderly beneficiaries who are isolating at homes. There are times you call and you don't get them. You have to go there and even knock at the door. You cannot go in, but you have to stand far and talk to them, which is, you know, communication has not been at all easy with us. So it's not it's not easy at all. It's not easy. We have had a training, but that training was on Zoom. You know, 15 people. By the time you are ending the training, there are about 5 people because some of them are dropping out, which is, you know, we have evaluated some of the trainings that we had, and we've just realized that Zoom training is not as effective as face-to-face training.
No.
Because when it comes to practical issues, it's not that easy, and participation is not also encouraging. So all in all, I'll say it's been very difficult for us as far as communication is concerned.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Wanting to train people so they have the skills, but then training people over Zoom and things like that, and the fact that you can't sit next to someone and point things out, it's just really tricky. It's a huge barrier. Right, I am going to close all the rooms now, and then we're going to go back and just do a brief. So Sarah, if you're able to just share those tips about WhatsApp,
WhatsApp,
video calls, and then I'll let you talk about your event coming up as well.
I've just typed something up to stick in the chat, so that's great. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to close the room now. So we've got 1 minute and then we're all back in the room. "20 seconds and we'll be back in the room." Oh, now what's happening? Here we are. And we're all back.
Yeah.
It worked. As if by magic, we're all back. Okay, so we're going to start with our group.
We've lost some.
Yes, I'm there.
Ah, okay. What about Francisco?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Everyone's back. Okay, so we were joined by Sarah from REAP. So I saw her floating around on Zoom and I pulled her into our room. And so we had a chat about, I'm just going to get the subjects again, about access to information for those who are digitally excluded due to lack of laptops, iPads, and limited broadband. So they have the know-how, but not the IT equipment, and most importantly, the broadband when things like Zoom gobbles it up. So Sarah had some ideas. Well, she was just telling us how they do things on WhatsApp groups, video calls, because they eat up less data. So do you just want to tell everyone about that, Sarah?
Yeah, it's just, hello, by the way. Sorry I came in late. I had a group beforehand, so I'm sorry I've missed all the beginning. But yeah, so we've been doing some online.
Somehow, थोड़े people the
English
bag
and
ready
conversation, sort of using online groups just to help connect with people.
पर तुसी ला जाओ
Ranjit, can you mute
No, we
yourself?
got it. Okay.
I've
and,
muted Shanji.
Thank you. So we've been doing that, and the advice that we've had from a number of other English providers and other people running conversation groups was to use WhatsApp video and to use WhatsApp generally. And the feedback we've also had from people that are coming to the groups is that they want that they prefer communication by WhatsApp. I think we're a little bit limited in that because we have some people who are not on WhatsApp, so they can't tell us it doesn't work for them. So that's an issue, of course. But the advantage of WhatsApp is that for people, it's free. I don't know what the situation with is data with how much it uses, but it is free. And in WhatsApp video, which I haven't used much myself, but other people in the volunteers group are doing it a lot. You can have up to 8 people, I understand, which includes yourself. So it's a bit limited. So it's a help. It seems to work quite well for a lot of people. Of course, it is a push communication method, which is to say you've got to already know the person and you're sending it to them, and then they're responding to you. Because people can't, unless they know your number already, they can't even, and you can't use it for sort of broadcasting generally. But if you've got a group of people or members or something like that, it does seem to be quite favourable. People seem to quite like it. And actually something I didn't mention, Toby, but just to say with Zoom calls, there is a phone-in option. And in fact, for people who haven't got, who can't use the screen or it uses too much data, there is a phone-in option that a lot of people don't know exists and they don't make best use of. But literally all they have to do is dial the number you send them and then a passcode, and then they can listen in as if just like, and a lot of people don't realize that with Zoom, but it's a really good option if you've got something on Zoom, but there's a few people that are struggling to get in or they've got unreliable signal and they don't even need.
That's a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea. Just thinking differently. Yeah, we put Zoom set up and it gobbles up data. So how can we use it to connect with people? That's a brilliant idea. Just we send them, so they dial in. So
there's a dial in phone number and then they just put in the code and a hashtag. They have to put in the hashtag.
When you set up the meeting, all the information, the phone numbers are there. I dialed in earlier when I couldn't join.
Yeah.
And I could hear you all.
Yeah. It works fine, but a lot of people don't know you can do it. Yeah.
Now, Sarah's going to talk about something completely different, but this is kind of the point of putting people in the sort of little chat rooms, the networking. So in addition to the topic we were meant to talk about, we did slightly go off piste, and I was talking to Sarah about she's got an event coming up, and I said, well, what a great place to tell everyone about it. So feel free when we're reporting back to use this time to say additional news, as long as it's kind of fairly quick. So Sarah, do you just want to tell everyone about
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much for this, Toby. And also, I think a couple of you, Barbara, I know, has probably got an email about this. So REAP is just, we're doing quite a lot of support for asylum seekers who are housed in hotels by the Home Office at the moment. So across West London, that's about 2,500 asylum seekers. In Ealing, I believe it's only around about 800 or so, but Hounslow, Ealing, Hillingdon together, we're looking at about 4,000. Sorry. Yeah, but a lot anyway, a couple of thousand certainly. And there's also quite a turnover because they've started moving people out of the hotels into temporary accommodation, and then they'll move again into more temporary accommodation. But there's still new people coming into the hotels. So there's a big turnover. And there's lots and lots of issues and questions, as you'd expect. So in the autumn, we had a number of basically Hillingdon-based voluntary sector and community linking up with the NHS, especially, and GPs networking events. It feels like with all the dispersal starting to happen now and people being moved out, it's time for an update and a catch-up. So we're doing a Zoom call next Thursday at 3:30, that's the 4th of February. Just catching up voluntary sector, a number of NHS people if they can make it. Some of the hotel accommodation people come, Clear Springs, the actual hotel manager of the Crown Plaza, and others come along. It's been very useful in the past, and then it often leads off into a series of separate little themed meetings, like around support for the women, or around English, or around goods and donations and clothes and food banks and things like that. So whatever comes up at the meeting, we'll usually follow it up with a sort of a one-off hour or so for the people who are most interested in that topic. I'm going to stick the link in the chat, but also first of all, I'm going to put in my email, sarah@reap, if I can spell it right. Sorry. My email is sarah@reap.org.uk. So do email me if you're interested, and I'll send you the link directly. And I'll just copy the link and everything into the chat now as well. So Toby, thank you very much indeed for a chance to say that. Much appreciated.
Rosina, how did your group get on? And I know I've said to Vincent, I'm not sure whose group he's in, he's going to share something with us as well. I'm not sure if he's in your group. But first of all, Rosina, how did you get on?
So we had very good discussions. Basically, conclusion was that obviously physical contact is, we have to avoid that at the moment, and the best way forward is there was obviously difficulties in the beginning. Well, still people who don't have the equipment, or they don't know how to use the equipment. So basically having maybe having sorry, I've written down, so instructions which are written down in very plain English with maybe pictures for people, so they know how to turn on, and plus having equipment which are basically very simple to use, not having things which are complicated. So that kind of stuff, maybe providing that to our service users and people who are isolated. And also people may have English language barriers, so maybe having classes for them. WhatsApp group came up again, so that is the best way forward, because loads of people do use WhatsApp, and it's easy to connect with your loved ones. What else did we say? Yeah, that was mainly it. Yes.
Anyone else in your group want to share any news? Is Vincent in your group?
Yeah, I think before I share the news, thank you, Toby. Before I share the news, just so one of the points which we kept speaking on was digital exclusion has always been there, but right in this COVID time, this is the time when it has been right, it's hit in our face. So for some of the points which Rosina mentioned, I just want to flesh it out because we tried it and it worked for us. One was visual presentation, i.e. giving them a printout of in a simple point system. If you want to speak to your family, these are 3 steps: point in a step 1, step 2, step 3. In a step 1, open WhatsApp, rather than giving English and non-English language. That is also a challenge, and it will continue to be. In the ideal world, you're hoping we speak the same language, but it'll never be. And that was our challenge. So we went for visual presentation. We were blessed with a good team of volunteers, and I'm sure most of you all have a good team of volunteers. Use them wisely. That is what I've learned. Use them wisely. Deploy them in your most safe and secure way. And if they can go and drop this equipment, do it that way. What we also did was we made the equipment very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? The word I'm not looking for is, I just make it simple, right? So when you give them, the shortcuts are there. Don't make it difficult for them. Shortcuts to WhatsApp, shortcut to Zoom. Somebody, Richard made a good point on making sure the UK number is used and not the US number. Those kind of basic things, because it's going to hit an enormous bill. So make sure your tech team is good. Do it. We have done it. Happy to give any advice, anything, those kind of things. We are more than happy to support. One more key point was that keep a helpline ready, because these people are going to come back to you. Just don't expect them to use the equipment or give the equipment and they're out in their own. No, it didn't work like that, and it won't work like that for anyone. So that's something which we use. Digital exclusion continues. Let's see what we can do. So that was the point. Thank you, Toby, on giving me 2 minutes quickly on rework program. So Beehive Social Enterprise, which has been set up to support families impacted by COVID-19, mainly the BAME community. We have started something called as a rework program. What does rework program do? It is a 6 online sessions which will support you through the search for jobs, but at the same time give you the employability skills to go back out in the market. Do you get a job at the end of it? Not really. So I want to set the comment straight that there's no job at the end of it. However, we are connecting them to, to mock interviews, to interviewers, etc. So they can have a conversation and they can be confident when they go out. One comment which Francisco had raised on this call was, the jobs, what kind of jobs out there. The market is harsh. There's nothing out there. Well, sorry. There's very limited options out there. And even for one job, you have got 50 or 75 or 100 candidates. So making sure that, this candidates stand out, that's the reason rework programs are there. There are many other employability programs going on as well. So I'm not saying this is the silver bullet. So, but make sure that, your service users, if possible, do attend. It's a free one, so I put the details. Yeah, that's it really, great talking to all of you and great to have this BAME group. Let's see what we can collectively do as a team. One more plugin, I think Hounslow Council is also doing something on the BAME support group, which an email has gone out to everyone. So let's join that as well and see, together what we can do. Sorry, I went over 2 minutes. Sorry, Toby.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Ian, your group, how did you get on?
Yeah, so we were looking at people with no IT equipment, no knowledge how to use it. So obviously you can use things like telephone landlines. Most opportunity, probably older people will have a landline. Could be used, obviously producing things like leaflets, posters, putting them up in libraries, bus stops, places where people can see them. Then you've got things like connection costs. So even if people have a device, it's going to be expensive to have it connected. So and obviously things like using the phone is expensive. So having some research on what providers offer, what offers they have available. You also think about language barriers. So how are you going to train people, improve people's skills if English is not their first language or the English isn't very good. So making sure you've got things like digital buddies and volunteers with those language skills. Obviously schools are facing issues as well. And I think some schools have received devices, but not enough. I'm not sure if anybody else, my group's got anything else to add they want to mention.
If I could jump in terms of schools and families who haven't got IT or are struggling with the digital costs, there is a scheme whereby schools can make referrals of particular families who have needs, including getting, I think, free data from providers. But I've seen that online on the gov.uk or the DFE website. The referrals need to be made by schools, but I haven't got any information about whether schools have the capacity to make those referrals, and if they do, whether that's delivering help for the families who need it. But that is one of the pathways which is supposedly available, including sort of especially tackling that data issue when people are homeschooling. So I'd encourage groups to ask their members to talk to their schools if there's a need there.
Some schools also set it up on their website, informing parents and teachers and students to approach them for facilities.
Thank you, Richard, for that information. We work with families, and one thing we have seen is families with maybe 4 or 5 kids, they have only been offered one device per family. So, I mean, kids have to miss live lessons and then listen to the recorded ones. And I am sure they're not as effective as each other, listening to a live teacher delivering a lesson and recorded version of it. So, I mean, that's one issue that really families are facing at the moment. So maybe we will encourage them to speak to the school and see if they could get further assistance. But it's a real problem with the families that we're working with.
Great. Right, we've got 10 minutes till this meeting ends. Has anyone anything more they'd like to share?
Yes. from what I have learned within the community, especially with this lack of access to internet, Wi-Fi hotspots are a really forward way of engaging, because you will have free access to internet on places like Costa Coffee, on places like Starbucks, on places surrounding Barclays banks, and is a lot of services, because I've learned these with members of my community that don't have a contract on their mobile phone. And so they will walk on the high street and try to pinpoint these Wi-Fi free services, even though it is for a short period of time. How actually happens is that you register on the Wi-Fi with an email address, and that will give you access. Of course, in terms of cybersecurity, is not a guarantee protection in it, is on your own risk. But I noticed that some of the members of my community were utilizing this tool as to have access to websites where they could apply, and to even though have downloads, or even though send messages on WhatsApp, because they do not have enough finances to pay for a internet contract with a phone or at home. They will use it, the Wi-Fi's, the hotspots Wi-Fi's. Another thing that I would like to add is there is a lot of commotion happening with WhatsApp in terms of data, and this is something that everyone was talking about. There is created a new app called Signal, and has the same functions as the WhatsApp. So I just wanted to throw it out there for us to more or less have all the same information. That is it for me.
There's some great points there. Thanks for that. Yeah, really good point about going near buildings that give free Wi-Fi. And yeah, we definitely need to look into the new app Signal and see what that can do. That's really good point. So thanks, Francisco. Really excellent points there.
I think there's one thing came out as well that I've got to mention about live streaming services for to access churches, temples, for people, very important people who used to attend that physically and not able to be in touch anymore with, people. So getting them in touch with that as well, I think is helpful in terms of
In our little breakout group, we spoke about something called Twitch and YouTube and doing live things. I'm guessing that's where maybe the churches and temples are using those. I don't know. Sharon George runs a theatre. There's a theatre cultural group around theatre. So we were interested to know what they were doing to keep the spirits up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barbara, we are running a live streaming services. We have helped some of the local churches and other teams to run live streaming services.
What do you use? What do you use?
We are using YouTube as a channel because that's easy enough. A few clicks and again, digital exclusion, right? So I wanted to keep it very simple. One click and they are connected. And that's how.
But everybody has heard of YouTube. That's the only.
And it's so
upside.
Easy, easy. Yeah. So live streaming has helped. That's been a blessing for many families. At least especially within the local borough.
Interesting.
Okay, so let's draw the meeting to a close, and I hope everyone found it useful, and we'll be here same time, same place next week, and let's talk about fake news and the vaccine and targeting people to overcome those issues when they so they get the right message and those particular groups. So yeah, let's talk about that next week. So I'll see you all then.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Hippo.